Are you ready?
Hello, good morning. Privyet Kaktala. I am your host, Andres Salazar. You're watching The Art of Comics. I am a comic book creator, writer, artist. I also work on some film projects right now. And so I am an aficionado of this medium, sequential art, marrying images and words, putting them together in a sequential form to tell a story. I love that stuff. Today is no exception. Before we get into the main topic, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Please go check out my Patreon. I am working right in the middle of this documentary called Leaving Your Tribe. So I'm working on that. You can go see the Patreon to see a little bit about what that's going on. I'm also working on my graphic novel, Shangri-La. So you can see that, as well as some other smaller comics, Life and Death and The Weekend. Those are also on Webtoon. So I just put a lot of those comics, the 24-hour comics, those kind of smaller things. Those are on Webtoon. Links in the description. Go to the Patreon to see all the latest and greatest, and that's like everything. So the Patreon is the hub, and then Webtoon's got a couple of that stuff. So that's what I'm up to. Very busy. I'm also doing these interview series. So hopefully you've seen the Scott Shaw, Paul Martinez, and the Colin Gray episode. I'm doing another one today, actually, with an artist. And so I'm doing these interviews. Those are kind of a long format. I really enjoy those. So check those videos out. Those are cool. Now, on with the show. I had the pleasure of meeting Jessica Maison this weekend. She and I were at a little like market, comic book market thing, and it was a wonderful chat with her. She mentioned that this book is on Kickstarter now. So I thought, you know what? As a fan of crowdfunding, as a guy who's ran many crowdfunding projects like Pride Missouri and other books, I know the drill. I know the effort and anguish at times Kickstarters do. Personally, I'm kind of out of that game. I don't want to do it, although I might have to for Shangri-La. So, but anyway, I wanted to do this video for her and for you guys to check it out because, again, during that time of doing the Kickstarter, it's just full of chaos. So I thought, you know what? Let's help out the indie guy or girl. Because if you are a company and you're using Kickstarter, no bueno. I got no time for you, okay? If you have a payroll, you have employees, you already have channels to distribute, okay? You do not need Kickstarter. You don't need it. It's made for independent people that do not have access to those channels. That's why it's a Kickstarter. That's why you crowdfund. You crowdfund to something that you can't fund yourself. Okay, enough of that rant. Let's talk about Mary Shelley's School for Monsters. And we're going to be showing the book as well. I'm going to try not to spoil it all, but let's just chit-chat about it. So, first off, physical visuals, and we'll go into the story and some of these things. It's not going to be a puff piece. I'm not just going to say Jessica did everything perfect, but I'm going to tell you what I liked. Maybe some things that could be better. I'm critical. That's how I am. I'm super critical about my own work. So, if you think I give myself a pass, no, I do not. So top of the line here, very well produced. Really like the way this came out. This is a hardcover. It's retailing for $25. Not sure what it is on the Kickstarter. Probably something similar. It is about 120 pages. 120 pages. Very well designed. And we have to give some of that up to the design by Joel Rodriguez, who did the lettering, and his company, I think, Metal Ninja Studios. So you've got the Judds, Jessica and Michael. Jessica edited it. We got some people here working on this. But yeah, Metal Ninja Studios, Joel Rodriguez. You did a wonderful job. This looks very well done. Yeah, high marks on the production value. The paper's great. Yeah, we can't, I mean, top of the line, we're good. Let's talk about the art too. The art is done by Anna, I'm going to mess this up, Wistek? We'll call it Wyzek. I'm going to say Wyzek, so sorry, Anna, screwed that up. Let's talk about it. So the art is pretty darn good. I like the art. right off the bat, you can tell that this is geared for a younger audience. This isn't made for some 40-some-odd dude like me. This is made for probably, I would say, that middle age. My son is 10. He would probably dig this up until, the teens, I would say, honestly. I could be a little different. I could be a little off on the age, but that's kind of where I gauge this. You also have the Necronomicon right off the bat. It's kind of like this pet dog kind of creature. So it's a sentient, like little animal pet. So that kind of gives you a little clue on the age. There's some cutesiness to it, which is fun, and there's some jokes, which you can kind of see that this kind of gauged for that audience. But the art is good. I like the coloring. A couple spots where the coloring is a little different, but I think the coloring is good. It does have this kind of, we'll say, an anime feel, a little bit more Eastern in kind of the design choices, and the like the hair, for instance, is got a lot of that kind of lyrical, we'll call it anime style for the lack of a better term. So it does have that little bit of a cartoon kind of flavor to it, but I like it. It's really well done. I mean, I'm not going to nitpick too much on it, because I think it's one thing I will say about the visuals is it does feel at times a little decompressed. And that's really probably the story. That's probably the script. It just, and I'm being a little bit picky here, there's just a couple pages, a couple elements that I feel like, man, you could cram a little bit more story. You could put in, 6-7 panels maybe in there to really just get a little bit more of the action, a little bit more story in there. But that's really a personal choice. That's not really a critique necessarily on the quality or skill level. But personally, I do feel it's a slightly decompressed, but not like horribly. Again, maybe that goes to the manga element of it, right? Where you'll have, a manga will be 100 pages and it's just like someone walking through the door and getting a bite of food. So a little bit, but it's not that bad, of course. Yeah, the art is good. I'm just trying to think of some more comments on it. I think coloring's fine. I really like these chapter separations here, these openings, which that's just a really cool kind of visual. I would like to actually see more of that kind of style in the backgrounds and things like that. Let's go to the story and what this is about. So, as the cover suggests, Mary Shelley's School for Monsters. It starts off with Mary Shelley as a kid, a child, I think around 13 or so, at the grave of her mother, who was also named Mary. That kind of goofed me up there, because I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So Mary Shelley, the author of the book Frankenstein, Modern Prometheus, her mother's name was Mary. And she comes across the Necronomicon, who, as we said, is kind of a sentient, like dog-like creature. And together, they kind of, they find little Frankenstein boy, and there's Dr. M, who's kind of the evil antagonist. We don't know much about him yet. He'll come in, I'm sure, later. And Mary, with the aid of the book, kind of splits herself into two personas. It's a little complicated, but not too bad. But the concept is this. Mary Shelley splits into two. One becomes the author that we know, right, as Mary Shelley, who wrote these books. And the other kind of essence or spirit or what have you goes on these adventures as this young girl. So that Mary Shelley, as she's writing these stories of Frankenstein and so forth, they're like repressed memories. They're like actual things that she experienced as a child in this other kind of version of herself. A little confusing, right? And I'm wondering why we couldn't just say this was just Mary's experiences as a kid, and why we have to keep the real Mary in those books alive and going. Like why does it have to be this kind of split or alternate reality? I'm not sure. It might be better as just as an alternate reality. But there could be some reasons that I'm unaware of. Maybe that's a little nitpicky, but it's just slightly kind of convoluted there when the two characters split off. One becomes the grown woman Mary, and the other one is this kid who kind of goes on these adventures. It does have this tone of like a Scooby-Doo. And she even mentions that in the book. It's got this kind of like a Scooby-Doo kind of flavor, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I really like. I mean, that's Pariah, Missouri is, I say, Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Deadwood. I mean, so I'm down with that kind of supernatural, kind of hijinksy stuff. I really like the concept, this idea of monsters are monsters because of trauma. Mary goes out to the world or encounters these monsters and tries to kind of solve their problem. And that's why, and almost like demonsterify them in a way. And then they become like part of this cadre of people in this school. Now, that's just a cool idea. Like straight up, I like that idea a lot. You can go into that in a lot of different ways. You don't even have to do this as a kid version. You could do this as an adult way to like go seek out monsters. Instead of killing them, you're kind of saving them from themselves. And this story is about La Llorona, right? It's kind of a Mexican horror type character. And so I dig that a lot. I mean, you could do this for books and books. Cool. Yeah, I just think that's freaking badass. The idea of let's save these monsters from themselves. Let's kind of like Scooby-Doo it and fix the problem. We're not destroying monsters. We're helping them. Now, the idea of that it's a school, I think the school is very used loosely because there's no like education. We don't really see any kind of like connection or anything like that. It's just a group of kids, monster kids, who are going out and doing this. But there's no like training that we know of yet. We haven't really got into any of the kind of the school elements, so it's not like what's that anime Assassination? Is it called Assassination School or Assassination Plot? Something like that, where it's like a school. So there's none of that yet. It is just like a edifice where these kids kind of hang out. There's like a will-o-wisp character. There's a Medusa, which this is another cool idea. The glasses, she has these glasses that kind of protect everyone else from looking at her, right? So when you take the glasses off, ba-bam, things turn to stone. When you put the glasses on, it's safe. And then, Jessica does a great job of kind of hinting at there is some element of the past that kind of she regrets. So someone that she cares for got stoned, I guess is the term, petrified. And so she's kind of dealing with that. So there is a little bit of like drops of issues, we'll say, these kids have, which is good. Makes them a little more well-rounded. So Medusa's got that going on. Mary also has some issues with her father and some things. So you do get a little bit of that kind of depth in there. And I'm sure as the book continues on more adventures, we'll get a little bit more of that. There's some decent witty banter. I would not say it's the strongest of some of the dialogue. Some of the dialogue is pretty good. Some of it's not the best in the world. But again, I'm in my 40s. We're talking about kids who are, in their young teens. So maybe that's actually the right choices. So that's a little difficult for me to judge. But overall, you guys, I found it to be very cute, very good. I adore the concept. Like, I really like this idea. I would love to see it go in different ways as well and see how this kind of builds upon itself. This is just, of course, establishing, the world and that. But yeah, if you're into this kind of genre, if you like these things, I would say, if you like this kind of stuff, go check this out on Kickstarter. So really well done. And there you go. There you go, Jessica and Anna. Bada bing, bada boom. So if you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Go check out all my other stuff like I mentioned before. I have another personal channel. Go check that out with all my vlogging. And check out the link below for the Kickstarter. So thanks for watching. Matane.